Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the last mentorship webinar of 2023. Wow, what a year. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can take a look at this. And I thought I'd get a little bit, nice for everybody. Here we go. What has 2023 taught us? So this will be just our sharing and our thinking and discussing about certain things. So first of all, it's always the first part of our webinars should always be dedicated to the mentees. Mentees, how has your week been? Kate, you were first on. How has your week been, cybersecurity wise?
I watched the video, your 1 year old video about NFC business cards, and yeah, it was very interesting, and I was discovering this info, and today I was going to ask what's now is going on with these cards. It's been a year, and is it safe to use, or what's now the yeah, how it works now? Is it?
Oh, electronic business cards?
Yes, right.
Yeah. In the video, we did discuss the benefits of it. It's awfully convenient, but the risks that we identified were, for example, and I'm going to use a regular business card because I don't have my electronic one with me, but if you have it set up with a certain amount of information, they scan the card, they're going to get to whatever information you have set up. We as humans tend to overshare. So what happens is if somebody that you really want to get all your information to, you let them scan the card and they get all the information. But somebody you just want them to have maybe contact information, guess what? This has everything that you wanted to share with this person, and now these other people have the exact same amount of data. That to me is the biggest risk of the electronic business cards. You set it up one way and then you share it to everyone with all of that. Some people you really want to have lots of information, like for CS-Sensei, I've got lots of stuff. I've got playlists, I've got contact information, I've got my phone number, all of those things in my website that you go to when you tap the card. But what if I only wanted somebody to have my contact email? I can't quickly change this so that this person gets a lot and this person gets only a little. So to me, that's a risk. You're carrying a lot of your data, so you have to be very observant in what you share, because that is going to everyone that you share with, regardless of what you think of them. So that to me is the biggest risk. Yeah. Data proliferation for your data.
Right.
Chris,
and for this
what
year,
do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kate.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask that for this previous year, not any too risky was discovered, or not any, I don't know, huge leaks or something with this kind of business cards. Nothing so important for this.
Not that I've seen.
Yeah. Okay.
Not that I've seen, but it would depend on who the provider is. For example, I use Link, but it could be dot cards, or there are lots of them out there.
We only have one company.
I don't know for sure.
I have nothing new to add with that. I may add it as a topic to research later this year, weaving into my studies and all that. But I would do my own homework on the company that offers those cards. What are the privacy rules within your own location, i.e. European data protection rules versus California, your state's privacy rules that are becoming more and more prevalent as the years to come in the states. But that would be my guidance on that one, would be do the homework on the company that's offering reader privacy policies. Make sure that whatever data that you give to them is being properly governed and taken care of and disclosed throughout its whole process of when they work with you with those cards. I'm still fearful of using my credit card that has the NFC chip. And I still to this day, to the chagrin of the young retail people, that I have not activated my NFC chip yet to have the touch thing work. I have the older cards where they don't come automatically with that signal on, but I can still put it into the machine and the machine will read it just fine.
You use your chip, not the NFC.
Correct.
Yeah.
And my fear of the NFC is it's kind of similar to what I call a virtual pickpocket. They'll have these little machines that they'll get close to you and kind of wave it near your pockets or your purse, and they can take whatever data they can from there. That's the tinfoil hat Christopher kind of situation that I think of here, and I'm still reading and researching it from there. So I have nothing new to add, Kate, if you want to take it from there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just speaking personally, I mean, you saw it on the video. I won't buy a wallet unless it's RFID, for example.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, apply the protections that are out there. So, yep, very good. Anything else, Kate?
No, that's it. It's been holidays and I haven't done much.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Understood. Okay, David, how has your cybersecurity week been?
I would say largely, I guess kind of same motion as I've been the past handful of months here, just trying to get some answers to some very important questions. I'm very much seeking out additional schooling, training right now. We'll say specific targeted training because, 2023 has been a giant dud of a year. It's largely been very disappointing, and it's just not been a very good year, to be honest with you. Been just a lot of things have not happened, which I hoped were going to happen, and it's just been very underwhelming. So I was actually on the phone with Chris yesterday quite a bit, and got let off work early, so had some time to really just talk and just get some answers and try to just make sense of a lot of things. So that was really good. Really seeking out some additional, just I think looking at trends, looking at, indicators of what's going to be good things to know in the future are really where I'm looking, just kind of where's the best point for me to come in at, and I think that's what I'm trying to get at right at this time. So I'll probably reach out to some of the folks in the group here at some point here, as I'm trying to just get some insight into some particular programs that I'm looking at Western Governors University. So I think at this point I'm trying to research and get answers. That is the name of the game for me right now. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, let us know how your trek goes. I mean, that's one of the advantages of this program. You can share your good times as well as your frustrations, because we're all trying to get to the same place, and that is higher competence, better skill set, and better employment. So, yep, always happy to be part of it.
Right. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, great. Nerman, how was your week?
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it was a really good week. Like always, this week I did a lot of pen testing in my home lab. I was, for instance, yesterday I was doing SQL injection, testing some vulnerable machines. Like I also was adding some vulnerable machines in my home lab. I started weaponizing my laptop, my workstation, especially now because I need for my job. Also started using my tools like Burp Suite. I also did yesterday actually one pen testing on for bug bounty and on one website, one domain, and using my tools I was able to find some vulnerabilities, but I didn't submit anything yet. Just still trying to figure out what's the best way to write report and submit report. But yeah, it was really good. Like, so I'm kind of like going up. So I also started creating some kind of payloads like for SQL injection, trying to learn a little bit about that. And yeah, I did also a lot of coding in Python. I mentioned before that I'm learning Python and HTML, and so yeah, was doing some Python. So basically, I actually I'm doing this every week, and spending like at least like 7-8 hours every day on my computer, practicing, and yeah, it's amazing. Like, so I'm kind of learning a lot and very fast. So yeah, I'm so excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Chris, do you have any suggestions?
Oh, Nerman's doing much more than I am right now. So I did give him a couple suggestions through the emails that he's taking advantage of, and I'm sure he'll reach out to me with a question if he has a question, or if I don't know the answer to that, I do have a network of people that can help Nerman that he can go ahead and take a look at, and also have a few resources further to continue his journey. But Nerman, the only thing I can provide to you right now is encouragement, and I'm here for you, buddy, if you have a question, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I actually have some questions. Probably I will email you. Both of you, and maybe after holidays. I don't want to bother you. I know it's New Year, but yeah, I do have some questions. Like,
and if I don't know the answer to them, I can probably point you in a direction.
Yeah, thank you. Guys.
Very good. Chris, how was your week?
My week was restful, enjoying the holidays with family. It made that a priority. I know the bad guys don't sleep, but same time, I have team members who will come in and go, yep, okay, we'll take care of this, Chris. Go enjoy your family. And I think one of the things I'm learning, and this is a hard pill to swallow, and Scotty, please tell me if I'm totally wrong, or I'm taking this group to a total dark place, and I'm trying to avoid that. But I had a very challenging question that came to me the past couple of days, some with my wife, Marcy, and some with stuff I've been reading on LinkedIn. Make it very brief, because I know I see the time, you still want to go through your presentation. I was challenged as a mentor not by this group, but by other mentors in my community. Yes, I have other mentors. I will encourage the mentees here to go seek other resources. Please don't just use us. As a mentor, it's quite easy for me to say and tell everybody in this chat, hey, your way to cybersecurity is get training and get a home lab up and going. I wonder how much of that is just being lazy and not necessarily helping you guys. That's the challenge that's been put, that's the gauntlet that's been set forth in my table. I had a couple sleeps about it, and where my wife got involved was my wife was having some struggles at her work, and she stayed late past midnight one day. And me, out of frustration, I'll admit it's frustration, ask her, why are you giving so much time to an employer that will replace you when you take your dying breath immediately? And hindsight, probably shouldn't have said that, but Marcy tried to justify it, but then I didn't ask the right question. And the right question I should have asked was, hey, Marcy, why did you decide to do it? And Marcy gently explained that my name was on this project. So if this project goes south, my name would have been everywhere, and my name and reputation would have been tarnished. Right. And it was not necessarily a why to the company, but a why for her. And I got to go back to one of the mentor videos about the why, and I've been going back frequently to that video of why you're doing this, why we're here. And I'll fully admit, and I'm watching my time, 8:23. I'll put it back to you, Scotty. I want to say that my why is to help people along in their journey. I shouldn't put myself down to that dark place of we're just being lazy and just telling you to put a home lab and all that. We're providing resume help. We're providing the incident response team. And we're providing any answers to questions that even if we don't know the answer, we'll be glad to go ahead and alongside of you on Google, or, hey, I've done this resource before, try this resource. And the part I get, my lesson learned from all this is two. First off, it's ask the right questions to mentors and mentees. And then second is to don't be afraid to just come alongside, be that listening ear, and provide all the resources you can to help people get to where they need to be in the end. And I'm still learning, even as me in that mentor chair is still learning. I'm still also a mentee in that sake of, hey, I'm still learning, and I'm on this journey with you guys as well. And that's what I've learned this week, other than setting up and planning for CISSP and whatever my next steps are. Yep.
Yep.
I got the voucher this week. I have to set the schedule so I can put so I can make diamonds out of rocks.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, I will quickly share about my week. This week I did a Skillsoft or Percipio, I'm not sure which, course on cybersecurity for executives, and also one on mentorship, how to be the best mentor. And Chris, one of the big takeaways that I heard in there was my mentee got upset at me because they said, you keep giving me solutions, and what I'm looking for is options. In other words, we also have to teach the mentees to choose, not just hand them you, but we have to teach them how to be selective in what they're doing so that they can be successful, because they're not going to be our mentees forever, So just a thought when you were talking about asking questions.
Thank you.
And let's see, the third thing, and this was kind of interesting, I volunteered to teach a cyber hygiene course at our local recreation center. And it's just basically the same stuff that I've been teaching all around the southern Arizona area to anybody that will listen. But the interesting thing is that I found in this is I contacted this guy, the Green Valley Rec program manager, and said, hey, I'd like to teach a course on cyber hygiene. And he said, oh, well, you picked the absolute tail end of our recruitment period because from you, I need your program suggestion and a resume by this Friday. And I was like, oh. And so, I'm guilty of this, just like everybody, we all tend to do. I didn't have a resume prepared. I had a resume from a year ago when I was doing things, but a lot of things have changed, and the resume had to be tailored toward being an instructor for a group of senior citizens. So that was interesting. I had to go in and, pull out a brand new, take my old resume and revamp it and save it as a new one and say, okay, this is specific to being a cybersecurity instructor and that sort of thing. And I handed it all in, and I was a day ahead of schedule, so I did it by Thursday. But the interesting thing was, he said the applications need to be in this Friday, December 29th, for the August timeframe. Why? Because they have to decide whether they're going to do it. They have to decide where it's going to be taught, in which of the classrooms, on which days, at which times, and then they also have to publish everything because they have like a course catalog. And I had never thought about that. I was sort of like, hey, I want to come down and teach, all I need you to do is walk in and turn the lights on. But that is not the case. There's a lot of planning that needs to be done. And he said, if you want to teach in August, you have to have your stuff to me in December. And I thought that was like very interesting. So the good news is I was close already. I knew in my mind what I wanted, to teach and how I wanted to teach it. So I just sort of had to fill out their form. The good news is it was a one-page form, and they said maximum 80 words on your course that you want to teach or class or whatever. And then the resume, I made it one page. Not all the fancy fluff and everything. I just said, here's my experience and my education. I put in my bachelor's and my MBA. And that was pretty much it. Oh, and my cybersecurity SME for University of Potomac. But it was very interesting being back in the applicant chair, because for so long I've been quite comfortable where I'm at. But if you want to do something new, you have to be prepared to work for it and prove yourself in advance at the time it occurs. So I learned a valuable lesson about my resume. So anyway, that's what I had for this week. Anybody else before we move on to part 2? Okay. Well, I wanted to give a little report on the program and sort of tell a little bit about it and how we've done this year. We've had a lot of growth. We really have. Our email list is up to 18 members. Now, many of you may be members, but many of you may not. Chris and I try and make sure that whatever is on Facebook also goes to the email list, because many people, especially those in cybersecurity, tend to shy away from social media. Why? Because they're not out there sharing about themselves, because they are aware of how that can be exploited. So they don't share. And we've had numerous people in the program say, I don't have social media. good. Join the mailing list, and that way you can be engaged with us as well. So the mailing list is there as a less, less public means of communicating. But we try and make sure that whatever's on Facebook makes it to the email list. But speaking of Facebook, our Facebook group is now up to 123 members, which is a good thing. I mean, we can always use more. I keep mentioning to Chris that as soon as we get up over, 200 or so, where we have more than 10 people routinely at these morning webinars, we're probably going to split into multiple webinars per week. And each webinar will be different. We are not going to have a standard curriculum that the mentors are going to use. Nope, you're going to get the flavor of your mentor, not specific to the program. So there will be benefits if you go to both of them, for example. In addition, our YouTube channel is up to 125 subscribers, and if you look up here, we have 99 videos online. So this will be video number 100 if we put it up. So I thought that was kind of cool. Many of you do not remember or have not met all of our mentors. We have a total of 5 mentors in this team, and a couple of them are, kind of background in case we need them type mentors. One is Tobias, and Tobias actually works for one of those 3-letter agencies that you hear about in the news. They're not allowed to tell you much about themselves, but his history is in offensive cyber warfare. So he is, he's got lots of great insight. He's retired U.S. Army and working again for one of those 3-letter agencies. So a lot of fun with that group. Dolly, my wife, she's a former DoD PK engineer. And her claim to fame, I guess, is that she brought PKI to the National Defense University. They didn't have PKI before that. So she established the DoD CAC cards capability in that location and spent 6 weeks there training them on how to use it. So that was kind of fun. She had, except for maybe Tobias, my wife has had the highest security clearance of anybody in this program. And her clearance was, top secret plus some. And so she's got a lot of good information. She's extremely wise when it comes to a lot of things. Chris, I think you remember when we had our big conversation about, if you could do one thing to improve your infrastructure's security, what would it be? And we were talking about new training, we were talking about customer orientation, we were talking about new tools and everything. And literally my wife walked behind me in the conversation and she leaned over and she said, make sure everything's patched. Duh, of course. So my wife has a lot of that wisdom that I really appreciate. She and I talk a lot about this program. You may not see her, but she's there. And then Chris Frederick is somebody that I literally hired out of school back in the early 2000s, and he's still going strong. Like he says, 25 years experience. And he manages, the numbers aren't on there, but he manages something like 2,000 servers, both Windows and Linux, worldwide. So he's big on infrastructure, obviously. But that's Christopher. So we have 5 mentors and 100 plus mentees. Also this year, we released our new incident response team, and it was designed to allow the mentees to be able to get experience with incident response that they can put on their resumes. That's what it's for. And everybody is encouraged to participate in that, regardless of how much you do or how little you do. Just participating means that you can say, I have incident response analyst experience on your resume. This is not a game. It's not a tabletop exercise. It's not training. This is true incident response. And you guys remember, you got a 50-50 chance of getting this right. Do we report false positives or do we report false negatives? Everybody but Chris. What do we report? You have to know this for your Security Plus. Dave? You unmuted.
Yeah, I did. I'm going to say both.
It's a 50-50. Well, no.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
Oh, nice try.
Yeah.
Nice try. False. We report false negatives.
Yeah.
In other words, the mail filters or filters for your text messaging did not catch it. They said this is not spam, and it was spam. Or they said this is not phishing, and it was phishing. So that's what the negative is. Your filter said, no, it's not a problem, and it is a problem. So it's a false negative. It made it through the filter without being flagged as being malicious traffic, message traffic. So that's why it's called a false negative. You will need to know that for your Security Plus, and indeed, whatever else you're doing. The negative and the positive refers to the system, not necessarily the content or the packet or the payload or whatever. It's the system. If the system reports that it is indeed, that's called a positive. If it reports that it's, or it does not report that it is, that's called negative. And you need to know the difference between the two, because the negative and you know the difference between two. Security Plus questions are going to include something about false positives and false negatives, most likely. So that's why you need to know that. False positive means that something that was valid and bona fide got flagged as spam and dumped into somebody's junk drawer, junk folder. Not good. You can't have false positives and do work. People get upset. They call the help desk and say, your stupid system is moving, my email from my client over into the junk drawer. How do I stop this? That's a positive. The system said, yes, it is, but it was incorrect. It was valid, bona fide email. False negative is what we report, stuff that makes it through the mail filters without being flagged. Okay? So, we've had a total of 12 incident response team members. Oh, Chris, go ahead.
Actually, Scotty, go ahead. I realize that the topic I want to say is not pertinent. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. We've had a total of 12 incident response team members this year. There's always room for 13. Dave, Nerman. Oh, Dave, you're one of the 12. You've already done it. But Nerman, you can do a incident response report between now and New Year's, and you will be added on. We have reported a total of 664 incidents to the Federal Trade Commission as being fraudulent emails and texts. I have at least 4 people now that are forwarding me their emails routinely to say, I didn't ask for this. This is not who they say they are, etc. Or like with my sister, she's like, should I be worried about this? Is this something that, that I should respond to, or those sorts of things? She asks me to research. All of those are what you put in your resume and say you have become your local security expert for people within your sphere of influence. Why? Because you know a little bit more than they do. You're not this, somebody out there who's, being called by the local news station to provide what's going on with the current events, but you're still helping. And that is valuable. So that's what this is for. It's to help you all so that you can become, you can put down that you have experience, incident response experience. So you have 2 added experience blocks for your resume. One is, I am a cybersecurity mentee. That's experience. And also, I am an incident response analyst. That's experience. So you have 2 blocks that belong right at the beginning of your resume. So if people say you can't get experience without getting a job, that is not true. I've shown you 2 ways to do it. And there are others, but those are the 2 easiest ones to do. Okay, so what we've learned in 2023, I just wanted us to try and do some mind conversation here. You guys saw the top, what's it called, incidents, I guess, of 2023 from Wired.com. I also sent you a week ago one from CyberSecurity Today, where they did the same thing. And in both cases, number 1 was the same. And it didn't make the news very much. It didn't make the news. Why? Because it wasn't sexy. But do you remember what number 1 was? Anybody? What do you think was the biggest cybersecurity news activity in 2023? Bad stuff. In other words, attacks or, malicious attacks or something like that.
I would say like ransomware is the number 1. I guess that's the one all the time. And there's every day some ransomware attack on those big companies.
Yep. 2023, they've said, has been the year of ransomware. But what I was trying to get at is there have been some specific attacks and exploited vulnerabilities that really shouldn't have occurred. Really should not have occurred. And the number 1, as reported by both CyberSecurity Today and Wired.com, was MoveIt. The MoveIt servers had a vulnerability that caused over 2,300 data exfiltrations worldwide. 2,300, and those are just the companies that have reported it. People put stuff out on MoveIt servers, and the people that owned the MoveIt servers didn't patch them like they were supposed to, and one particular group took advantage of all of them. So the main way that they got in, Nerman, you mentioned it, the main way that they got into the MoveIt servers was through a SQL injection. SQL injections have been around for like 20 plus years, and we are still dealing with them. So the more you learn about it, the better. But so yeah, that was a big one. 2,300. That includes banks. That includes hospitals and medical systems. That includes client systems, attorneys' offices, just all over the world have thought they were going to get great service from MoveIt, and instead what they got was their data stolen. So and the issue is that the MoveIt software was patched a year ago, but people didn't apply the patches. So bad news there. The other thing, we have had nation states going against nation states or infrastructures. One of the biggest ones that I heard this week or this year is that at the exact same time that Russia launched a number of drone attacks against the Ukraine, they also simultaneously launched a cyber attack against the Ukrainian electrical infrastructure. So now cybersecurity also deals with national security. You know, how can you be safe in both? The people who come after you could be kids who just bought software as a service or whatever, or it could be a nation state coming after you because of who you do business with or because of who you are. You know, your culture could cause you to become a victim or a target. So just something to remember for us. And I think the biggest thing that I wanted to identify in 2023 is, yes, there's all sorts of new stuff, always new stuff, but don't trust the headlines. If you just read the headlines, you're only getting the sexy part of the news. And if you want to think about it from a CISO's mindset, that sort of news is not enough to share with your CEO. It's not actionable. Chris?
I'm also going to add, don't take to heart the hot takes from pundits and reporters. Mm-hmm. There's a CBS reporter that's coming out right now that's saying that there's going to be a black swan event for, and when I say black swan event, I mean an event that it's not going to be predicted, but if you look back at all the other events, you'll get a, hey, we now know why it happened. We should have caught it kind of situation, but that should be on your risk radar, but not necessarily a, oh my Lord, we should start freaking out and panicking. It's more of a, hey, it's going to happen. What can we do to prepare for it if we can prepare for it? It should not be like I would be very careful with listening to pundits as well and people with hot takes. Yeah. Sorry, Oxford off the soapbox.
So, yeah, no, I've always encouraged our members to make sure that you do not read just the headlines. There was one very famous, at least for me, article that came out, and it was widely copied, and it said, "Oh, this is vulnerable." And you read further down, and it was name recognition, Cisco or something like that. And when you read further down, you say, well, yes, it was one particular model which has been removed from most of the internet. There were like 200 of them left worldwide online. And of those, all except 4 or 5 had been patched. So they're like this big, Cisco vulnerability, but the issue had already been made almost a non-issue because of getting rid of old items, replacing them with newer, and patching what you've got, or removing it from visibility, in other words, segmenting it off to where the impact would be reduced. Those are all very valid actions to take when something like that shows up in your environment. So, don't let the headlines scare you into doing nothing or following around after the headlines. The SQL injection thing with the movement servers is a big one. Exchange servers. There are still a lot of people that have like 2,000 on-premise Microsoft Exchange servers, which are now beyond their service life. Microsoft no longer supports on-prem Exchange servers, and there are like 2,000 of them out there. So that has also been something that they are trying to, exploit. And the most important thing to think about is, like if you are going in for your interview, and they say, do you have any questions for us? Well, you could start with the basics. Have you guys, do you believe that you have properly segmented the network and made sure that all of your legacy servers and services are either gone, replaced, or segmented off to where that they are the least amount of impact? That shows that you've got this real good big picture view when you walk in the door. And it's not about what is playing across the headlines. It's your awareness that everything matters. And the threat actors are going to exploit the biggest and easiest vulnerabilities, not the newest sexy stuff. They're going to exploit whatever gets them in the door fastest and most reliably. So just something to think about. You don't have to be able to quote the headlines to say that you are a cybersecurity expert. And in fact, I would say quite the opposite. Okay? So, in terms of best practices and lessons learned, this is my last slide, I believe. Oh, well, just that one. This is my last slide. But what should we do while we're thinking about this? How do we approach, number one, our careers, but number two, having thoughts and ideas and recommendations in your head or written down on your paper when you go in for your interviews? How do you approach it? How do you believe you will be viewed best by your prospective hirers? Thoughts? Anybody? What do you think you need to know when you go into your interview? Okay. Let me just put forth some suggestions here.
Can I start, Scotty?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and then Dave, your hand's up. Chris first.
If the question is, what do we need to come in with the interviews? I believe it's not just putting a resume into the box and you get the call to that interview. It would be more of targeting. I target that company. I will want to know everything about that company, why it exists, what is their business, what is the risk to their business, and how I can provide that service or how I can protect them from said risk or mitigate them to lower that risk, to lower the cost. I think a great question that I've learned from another mentor is, how do I turn money, how do I turn what I do into money for them, but also how can it benefit the company with lowering that risk? That's my thought process with what I would come in for an interview.
Good thought. David?
I think for me, where I see it, I think you have to be targeted in your interview conversation, because I think that's where I've gotten, I'll say this has been the sticking point. Sometimes I've gotten the interview, but the question was coming back to me, well, what have you been doing in this space? And sometimes, it can be, you can kind of, I won't say empty the dump truck, but, you've got to be guarded against how am I speaking into this environment? And it's got to be very, I'll use the word targeted again, where you're going with that, with those questions that are asked to you. And that's where, at least for me, that's where some of the challenges come in is, so it can be kind of dissuading, I'll say, and, to an interviewer, if they're like, okay, that went a different direction than I thought. So,
right.
Yeah.
When people are in an interview setting, you can impress your interviewer not just with your technical knowledge, but with your system level knowledge. In other words, if they ask you things like what keeps you up at night, and you respond with something that aligns with what keeps them up at night, then you know you're in the right area. So there are ways that you can really improve your chances during your interview that are not technical. They are procedural, they are interpersonal, those sorts of things. And there are, just right now, today, I want you to stop thinking of things like this. If somebody says, what more can you tell us about yourself? And this is one of my pet peeves. Don't tell me that you're a team player. Why? Because your resume should identify you as a team player. If you say I'm a team player, you're telling them what you think they want you to say, but you're not telling them something that they can validate. And I've had many people say I'm a team player, and they're not. So have your resume reflect you, not just your technical abilities, but have it reflect you. I have seen resumes that say, I have a passion for this, or I am eager to do this, or those sorts of things. Those are good words. Those are powerful words, rather than I've finished 3/4 of my semester in a degree in, okay, where's you the person? So what interests you? What makes you ambitious about things? What do you enjoy? Find ways to get those into the resume and your interview as well. What do you like?
Scotty,
go ahead.
Mine that I would do as a resume is a brochure of you. What if you were to make a brochure about you? How would you make it? And when I say brochure, when you see these marketing brochures out in the wild, they will sit there and say, here is my company's accomplishments. The company will brag. It's a brag sheet. And that brag sheet would be, okay, I know Linux. I know Python. Hey, I see you in the news, you're having this issue. Oh, by the way, I have this project that I've been doing that is totally 100% of my interest, and I've written about it, or I have done things with this. Please hire me because I can do the same thing as you. It's not just matching a check box of requirements and duties. It's also a, hey, Chris is a great and wonderful person, and Chris knows Linux, Chris knows Python, and Chris had a project where they had a similar problem that in the old company that Chris worked for or in school, Chris actually researched this and went and found a solution for it. And that's now a dot point to talk about and say, hey, I've done this before. I can help you. I can take that problem and here's my solution for you. That's what a resume should do, not necessarily, I'm a team player. I know Python. Right. I know Linux. It's, hey, I've done these sort of problems before. I had a project where it was done, and here was the result. Not just a list of checks. Mm-hmm. Not just that.
Yeah. Here's the thought. It's where are you at, and where are you headed? What's your trajectory? Can they see that in your resume? Or do they just see what you've accomplished so far? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And that is usually evidenced by some of those extra things that get added into the resume. Your CS-Sensei mentorship program, your incident response team, your volunteer activity to try and teach people in your HOA about cyber safety or whatever. All of those add up to say this person has the right mindset, not just skill set, but mindset.
So your slide right there. Your slide right there is excellent with 2024 and the role going forward. One of the challenges that have been brought up to me is, yes, you're going after your CISSP, but what is the why you're going after that CISSP? Is it for your curiosity of security and you want to show that you're an expert? Is it the fact that you see thousands of companies saying, hey, I want to give you money for that piece of paper? And I know that's a bad reason, but if they're asking about it, why are they asking about it? It's that 5 whys syndrome of, why am I getting this certificate? Why are companies asking for it? Why, when I get this certificate, what am I going to do in using that certificate? And if I can answer those questions down to 5 whys, that's the better way to go than just say, I'm just going to do it. I'm looking forward in 2024 of, hey, this is what the market is saying, and Dave and I talked about this for 4 hours. This is what I'm seeing. Why not just go after it? And what's that why in the end? And we may have to link that why video in the end of our seminar. But that's the main part of that resume is, why are we doing this? What's the why here?
Yep. Anyway. Very good. Very good. Well, thanks everybody. That's it for the week, the month, the year, and we will see you in the first Saturday of 2024. Yes, we are going to be having it, every Saturday unless we tell you otherwise. We will be here. So thank you for your participation, and I look forward to a good, prosperous 2024 with each of you. So everybody have a wonderful weekend.
Have a great week,
Take
guys.
care.
Reach out.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.